All right, what is up? Long time no see. Well, I can't see y'all, but hey, long time. ArmTalk in the house. What's up, everybody? You know who I am, Jody Williams. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. So today, I've been doing a lot of thinking these days, and I thought today would be a good day. The sun's out. It's a magnificent Monday, and I thought we'd go ahead and do a little soapbox. Now, what exactly am I going to talk about? Well, I could go a few different directions with this, but I think what I'm about to talk about as the Drew 24 is in. What's up, Drew? Welcome to the show, everybody. Feel free to chime in. And the topic I'll bring up, it's open topic. I want you guys to go ahead and chime in anyway. So, first thing, can we agree or disagree that after the pandemic, right, there was a lot more influx as far as athletes in arm wrestling? There was a lot more promotions that came up after all this, because let's be real, when you have, just to name a few, Mac, right? East First West, King of Table, right? Knuckles Up. All those didn't exist prior to the pandemic, right? And now, after that, these leagues are forming. They're doing good things. They're doing great things. However, there's some things that have still kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And at the end of the day, all I would want is for everybody to come together, because sometimes I think we kind of miss what we're doing, why we're doing this. You know, there are some promoters who do it for the athletes. I get that. Trust me. I know who they are. We've talked countless times about that, and I agree with them. If by chance, and you know, I might get a little hot water for saying this, but everybody knows I speak my mind. If some of the promoters, starts from the top, right? If some of the promoters could, instead of using that energy to attack one, right, and just use that energy to focus more on their events and what they're doing and how they can make their events better, instead of stepping on each other on the way to the top. Now, I understand that. You know, I do get the fact that, you know, a promoter wants their brand to be the one. I get that. I got no problem with that, you know, but at the same time, you don't want to sit there and jab people and step on toes on your way up. And the reason why I say that is because there's way too many arm wrestlers now than there were 5 years ago, and there were 5 years before that, if that makes sense, you know. Neil's Index Finger, what's up? You and I got to rap at some point, man. I got to be on your show. You and I got to talk turkey, but we'll get to that later. But that's what I'm getting at. So what does that go into? It goes into this. Now, because we got all these promoters and tournaments coming up, there's only 365 days in the year, people, okay? What's up, Justin? There's only 365 days in the year. There's only so many weekends. There are going to be times where, hell, you may have 5 tournaments going on across the country on the same weekend. That's just the way it is. It's not like 2000, right? 25 years ago, you didn't have that many. Now we got tons of them, but we got tons of arm wrestlers too. And I've always told, you know, people, and I've always believed this, everybody has their own path, whatever that path is. If that means, hey, my path is to focus on tournament arm wrestling specifics, focus on getting that national world title, whatever have you, so be it. If that means, hey, I'm going to go over here, I want to focus on super matches and doing that kind of stuff, there it is. Or, hey, maybe I want to go ahead and build my brand. I'd rather do this and this and see what happens. That's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But one of the arguments, and y'all will know I'm talking, and when I say this, feel free to chime in. So if one promoter is having a tournament, let's just say, for example, I'm not naming names, I'm not pointing the finger, I'm just saying what I'm saying because you know what I'm going to say. If somebody out west is throwing a tournament, right, should they be upset about somebody throwing a tournament in the Midwest, right? If somebody's in the South, the deep South, we'll say Georgia, Florida, for example, and they got this big event coming up, should they be upset about a tournament going on in fucking New Jersey? Probably not, right? Like, come on. Unless you expect the whole world to stop and go to your event, which it would make good numbers. I get that. But let's be real. Now, I understand that, there's a good problem to have for an athlete, because you can sit there and go, well, let's see here. Now there's so many tournaments to choose from. It's, which one do I go to? Because now it's almost about, well, if I go to this tournament, then I have to miss the one the weekend after, right? Mr. Evans, welcome to the show. So one has to wonder, there's so many tournaments. It all depends on the individual itself, right? Seriously, it does. And I'm wondering, at what point do promoters, and it's a good problem to have, but I understand where they're coming from. If they're used to getting a certain amount of numbers, but now that over the years, over the months, that's been reduced because of all these other promotions coming up off the ground and doing their thing. I get that. That's where we are in the sport right now. You're going to have your people who are committed to you, right? They're going to be committed to you no matter what. They like what you do, whatever that is. And the thing about it is that it builds character, because not every tournament is the same. You're going to have some tournaments, hell, not all tournaments have the same weight classes. Let's go ahead and start with that first, okay? Not all tournaments have the same weight classes, right? So there may be a tournament that may, cater to you and what you want to do in your weight class. Cool, not a big deal, right? So it's just something you have to look at. Now, what do y'all think about that? Okay. What do you guys think about other organizations and events coming up, this, that, and the other, right? It is what it is, man. I think, promoters, and we could talk about bands for a second. Good Lord. Did I say that? Okay, we'll say it. Fuck it. Let's run it. That's another thing. We as athletes go through a lot. Okay. We as athletes, let's just say we're gamblers. What do I mean by that? We go to a tournament, we're spending, hotel accommodations, either airfare, gas money, whatever. Then on top of that, the registration, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get that money back at the end. Hell, you may go 2 and out. We're gamblers, right? That's what we do. So, we as athletes go through a lot as it is anyway. When you start banning people, that's not okay either, okay? Don't have athletes, don't put them in a spot where they got to start picking and choosing. Because remember, those ones that you banned, once upon a time, were the ones that got you those entries and paid their entry fee into your event to compete. You had no problem taking their registration fee money. So be careful when you do that kind of stuff, okay? Now, with that being said, so many organizations out there, it's good. Scott Evans, you and I talked about this before. Drew, you know where I stand. Neil's Index Figure, my man. You and I will rap later about that. Justin, I'm sure you understand where I'm coming from with all this. Okay? So, promoters, we need to stop fighting each other. Okay? Why are we fighting each other? No need to be fighting each other. Okay? Now, I can't speak for other countries, but I probably have a good idea that they're not doing what we're doing. Seriously, they're not. I mean, if I look at Canadian Nationals, what they have, like 908 entries last year? 908 entries. Did we even get that when you combine the 2 nationals we got? I guess if you want to add the amateur nationals, throw that in there too. Do we even get to 900 some odd entries? Probably not. But the thing is, though, what you got to understand is that they're about the sport. We as Americans, we need to get back to that. There's too many people scratching and clawing and fighting each other. And another thing, too, we need to stop. We need to stop. What's up, Bob? We need to stop, and this is for athletes also, stop telling people, oh, don't compete there because of A, B, C, D, and X, Y, Z. Fuck it. If they want to go compete, let them compete. Because you don't know what their goal is. You don't know what their path is. Let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Or, that's from an athlete standpoint. Like, for example, as you know, it's not a secret no more. As you know, I am no longer affiliated with the WSA. For obvious reasons, I don't want to get too in deep into that because I know everybody's talked about it. The only thing that bugs me about that is that some people still got the whole story wrong, and I'm the fucking source. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is that if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, man, what do you think about the WSA? I'm going to tell them straight how I feel, you know? However, what they need to know is that I would not tell nobody not to compete at that organization, okay? That's not what I'm about. Hey, if you feel that you can go there and get your name on a platform, you know, and do your thing and stuff, by all means, go ahead and do it, man. Why I say that? Because as an athlete, we all know deep down that not everybody has a sponsor, okay? Not everybody has that, you know, backing financially. So we have to do what we have to do. That means film our matches if you can. Film our matches, you know, get those highlights out there. Sometimes you got to do it yourself, or you may have some tech guy do it for you, put you up a good package and throw it out there some way, somehow. All those promoters I just mentioned, they will see that and then go, let's get her on the show. Let's get him at the tournament. That kind of thing, you know? So, no, I would never tell nobody not to compete at WSA or anything like that. There's too many organizations out there. I would never do that, okay? Let's call a spade, you know? Now, from the promoter standpoint, this also needs to happen too. Stop digging at each other. It's not a good look. If the USAA is doing their thing, it shouldn't affect what Armed Sports Entertainment's doing. If 98% is doing their thing, it shouldn't affect what the PAL is doing, right? If the UAL is doing their thing, it shouldn't affect what the Florida Arm Wrestling League is doing, and so on and so on. You know, it shouldn't affect anybody, right? Because let's be real, a lot of us have our favorite events because, you know, hey, I respect a certain promoter. I respect their events. I like their events, do what they do, all that kind of good stuff, you know? I think at some point, when does it stop, though? And what I mean by that is when is it the nickel and diamond scratching, you know, oh, let's piss off this promoter. When does that stop, though? You see what I'm saying? Like it needs to end some point. Because, again, we look at ourselves. I take a step back out of this big bubble I'm in and kind of go, damn, dude, like, no wonder when I say we, I mean you, and everybody else. We always have that question, man, how can we get our sport on mainstream? Stop doing the dumb shit. That's just my personal opinion, okay? We need to knock all that stuff off, okay? Like, another thing, too, this is going to morph into my other soapbox. I got a couple of them, you know? All right, what does Bob Anderson say? He says, is there anyone from the WSA that can get away with competing at other events? Okay, so here's the thing. So I'm going to go ahead and shed some light on that. I think that ban was just made for that one particular promotion. Actually, two. It was made for Armed Gods, and it was made for the Winter Blast tournament. Do I agree with that? No, I thought it was fucking bullshit, you know? I mean, there's a rumor saying the ban might get lifted. If it is, that's even worse than what you did do, you know? But at the same time, it's like, why would you do that? Because honestly, in my opinion, Bob, it goes like this. Why in the hell would you delegate an athlete, hey, if you go there, you can't come to my event? What the fuck did he or she do to you? Not a damn thing. They did nothing to you. So don't fucking punish the athlete. Once again, we have enough trouble as it is trying to find out, well, can I go to this event? Okay, if I can, how much money am I shilling out? Hell, you never know. I mean, they might say, hey, you know what? Money's tight. I got you. I can pay for your airfare, but not the hotel, vice versa, whatever. That's between that athlete and that promoter, whatever, you know? But when you start doing that stuff, you know, that's bullshit. But again, Bob, that was mainly just for that event that took place last month. So I hope, and like I said, I've been smack dab in the middle of that controversy, so I know more than most. And remember, guys, I know more than most about this whole nonsense of that situation. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. But again, too, here's another thing. The elite of the elite, let those guys be. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, those guys, the elite guys, they move the needle. There's a reason why they got. I mean, they're awesome pullers. You know, they got the fan base and all that kind of stuff. In fact, they got so much of a fan base. I swear to God, if Devin Larratt was to be filmed watering his grass, God damn it, he'd probably get about 10,000 views. He moves the needle, right? Nothing wrong with that. Here's the thing. Do a lot of people know what 98% means? Okay. 98% means that, you know, We're not the elite. We're the opposite. All the 2%ers, all the people you see on King of Table, East, First, West, and some of the other big ones, But they're all that 98% of the people. And I'm telling you, when that 98% of the people, there are some awesome pullers there. But guess what? I think it's time to let some of those guys get some shine too. Why do I say that? I say that because the fact that, all those same promoters want the same people at those big events. I get it. Because if I grab this person, that person, that's going to draw more people to my event. Totally get that. It's a math question, right? However, and I'm going to go ahead and answer that after I finish answering this comment. All right. Greg destroyed himself. This is from Neil's index finger. Greg destroyed himself with these bands. Us pullers will always stick together, and there's always another event. Exactly. You get it. You get it. Now, going back to what I was saying is that what if you got like those mid-majors? We'll use college football or college basketball for a second. Those mid-majors that make a dent in March Madness, all they need is an opportunity to do something on stage. Now, guess what? Their games are going to be on CBS regular season the following year. So, in terms of arm wrestling, give somebody a shot. All they need. How do you think I got my shot? I got my shot because I shine when I need to shine. Some people saw it. I was able to film it when I could, and I threw it out there. It caught some people's eyes. Hey, man, that's a good-ass match. How about you come to my event? Okay, what are we talking about? And then negotiations are up, off and running. There are so many arm wrestlers out there that probably a lot of people don't know about, that they probably should know about, but they don't get the, opportunities per se, because some promoters, not all, but some, they want the bigger names. And I get that, but goddamn, give some of these guys some shine and give them the opportunity, because you never know. Look at John Therian. All he did was, and I'm talking about a couple of years ago, John Therian, right? Out of Canada. He would go to events here, events there, made a video, went to Arm Gods, showed up and showed out. Now he's getting fucking shit all over the place. Went to MAC, showed up, showed out. Went to East First West, he showed up. But even though he lost 3-0, he did something. But now he went to Magna's events. He's going everywhere now. Why? Because he got the opportunity. When you give he or she the opportunity, that's all it takes. If they make good on that, other people see that kind of stuff, right? That's all I'm saying. I mean, I could be straight. I could be wrong about all this too. What's up, Paul? Nice to meet you. Carolyn Loon's in the house. USS Liberty. Never forget what's going on. So again, my whole thing about this, given the opportunities, you got to show up and show out. Now, I'll say this because I'm the perfect example. Can your stock rise when you lose? Yes, it can. I fucking got smacked at Arm Wars, but my stock rose because what happened within the match, Did my stock raise or kind of drop down in the Arm Gods match? Well, they want me to come back to another event in Ireland, by the way. So you tell me, did my stock go up or not? I don't know. You be the judge. I'm in negotiations with that down the road. But that's another day, another story. Do you see what I'm saying, though? All you need is that one opportunity to go up there and show out. I'll give you another example. Look at Paul Passmore. Now, some may say, good friend of mine, not being biased, just these are the facts. TATF, these are the facts. Now, Paul Passmore, right? His last two super matches didn't go as well. He went to knuckles up, went up 2-0, lost the next 3. Okay, cool. He had a battle with James Wall at Arm Gods Independence Cup. He lost that one. So you think about it, okay, the guy lost his last 2 matches. That doesn't mean you give up on him. Because what happened the next day at the Winter Blast tournament? Walked through everybody, including the UK guys that came that entered the tournament, walked through them too. Went undefeated. 2 statues. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Once again, give him the opportunity, Paul got his opportunity. What happened? Went to, remember that Challenger Series? Beat that dude from France 3-0. Now, there was a little bit of hate there because he was thought that he might have got opportunity down the road. Never happened. But what happened, though? Somebody saw that, and what happened? Ended up on the Independence Cup at Arm Guys. You see what I'm saying? And if I'm not mistaken, I think Paul, because of his performance, once again, my model for this year, show up and show out. Once again, he showed up and showed out during the tournament. Now he's getting invited to another event up in Ireland also. So there you go. Arm Sports Video in the house. What is up, buddy? And by the way, if you could do yourself a favor and support my man, Arm Sports Video, Scott over there in the house, because he's pumping out stuff left and right. He has some stuff in the archives too. So you want to know your history? He has some footage of that kind of stuff. Check him out. Seriously. But yeah, so my soapbox was mainly about two things. One, promoters, stop, digging at one another. Use all that energy to blindside people, all that energy to backstab people, talk shit about people. Take that energy and put it toward your events. What can I make my event better without stepping on each other's toes to the top? That was that. My other soapbox was the fact that there's too many pullers out there, men and women, give them the opportunity, because you just never know. Because when they start making it big, all of a sudden you can go, oh, guess what? Hey, they're at my event. Like I said, look at John Terrian. He's been to Arm Wars, East vs. West, Global Elite with Magnus at AWC, Magnus event. He's been to a Monster Factory. I've done the same thing. I've been to Arm Gods, Monster Factory, Arm Wars. All it takes is the opportunity to sit there and show up and show out. Some way, somehow, somebody's going to see that. That's how you build the sport, giving folks the opportunity, not tearing each other down, not promoters telling each other down, not athletes, doing that. Stop all that. Doesn't help anybody. Because I guarantee you that shit ain't going on in Bulgaria. That stuff's not happening in the UK. Or maybe they just do a better chance of hiding it. But it's out and about here in the United States. In some way, somehow, we got to find a way to stop all that stuff. Stop with the fucking, trolling, all that dumb shit. That doesn't help either. Troll nation's going to do what they're going to do. That's just the way it is. We got to roll with it. How you respond to it is where it counts, right? So again, let's all be positive. There's this new league that's about to form. What's that going to be? The United Ally. I can't remember the acronym. But my whole point being, if it's to do with a good cause, that's good. If it's to do it to piss other people off, not okay. Not okay at all. I'm just saying that right now because, I understand if you have a promotion and you want your promotion to be the premier. Who doesn't want that, right? Okay. We all want that, or I should say they all want that, and that's okay. But at what cost, though? Let's go make this person upset. For what? Hopefully one of these days we got one national. Because goddamn, if I'm jealous and I see them, our fellow pullers up north dropping 908 entries for a national, that's how you know they got their stuff together. We can only hope. But right now we got 2. If you want to add the amateur nationals, now we got 3. And I hope the WSA doesn't consider it a national. Did not be 4. Don't do that. Don't do that. If we had one national, that's how you make stuff legit again. But with this divide and stuff, it all comes down to like, okay, can we get along? Or better yet, can you be professional? You could work with somebody, right, from a professional standpoint and not even like them. But if those two people who don't like each other, if they got one common goal is to make this thing work, you got a winner. Because no one said you got to, hang out with them, have a beer, and talk shop afterwards. They go their way. They go their way. That's it. I'll see you at work the next day, whatever. But that was my soapbox. Like I said, some of you guys may agree, some may disagree. That's how I feel. Thank you for joining me. Next week, my plan is to get some ladies on here because that round robin is just around the corner. Now, I know, there was some stuff going on with that. That might be my next soapbox about people getting paid out. Do I even want to go down that rabbit hole? Maybe, maybe not. But my goal is to get some ladies on here so we can talk about the round robin, how they feeling, their training, all that kind of stuff, how they getting prepared for that. So stay tuned for that. I'll be working on that. But until then, everybody, thank you for joining me over here. Hey, it's been fun. Yeah, I've been a lot busy. As you can see, all my trophies are down now. That's why I was looking kind of naked up here. But I do have my one of my dragons over there, as you can see right there. But again, thanks for joining me, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we will talk soon. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.